Wondering if TikTok's actually going to get banned or not.
No, I thought there was a 6-month extension. You know,
Did
the
that
tough
actually?
part, did that actually happen? I don't know. There's a proposal to purchase it through, there's so many interesting things happening. Kevin O'Leary has a proposal to purchase it through one of his subsidiaries. Uh, and there's also, did you see the TikTok competitor, like another clearly Chinese app that's like, if you ban TikTok, we're just going to launch this and you're going to have to go through the whole thing again. And we're going to port all users over to this app.
Is that the Red Note app or is that something different?
Yeah. Red Note, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's
There's
pretty interesting.
no way I'm downloading that one. Even if it's just to not have to manage another social media channel. Like
Yeah.
I don't need that.
I think it would be crazy to ban TikTok in the US.
I mean, if something doesn't like I'm doing the research right now because I'm going to make a video about it to organically promote Repurpose.io because they added in a automation that allows you to download all of your TikTok videos to a Google Drive.
That's cool. That's really cool, actually. And then just paste them out on Red Note. Like if you use repurpose, you can just find a way to reject the content.
Yeah. Well, so I think the interesting like conversation that we could have is where like, okay, so in this, like, let's say it does get banned on Monday or Sunday, whenever. Yeah. Sunday. From what I've read, it gets like, it will be shut down and unavailable immediately for all US users, which is wild.
Yeah.
Where does that attention go?
That's a good question. I mean, I think everybody's going to assume it goes to Instagram because it's the only comparable platform that has short form content as their primary content source.
So maybe a better clarification question that I've been thinking about this morning is where do we think the millennial cohort's attention is going to go, and where do we think the Gen Z cohort attention is going to go?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like
So
you have an answer.
I've just been thinking about it and researching it this morning. So I'm formulating ideas and answers. So
I just think Instagram. It's like the only short form content platform.
for us, yes. For millennials, I think yes. Instagram and YouTube Shorts.
Yeah, YouTube Shorts.
It
Just not as
doesn't.
good.
If you don't use it as often as somebody who does use it, then it doesn't seem like it's that good or that relevant. But the amount of like raw viewable hours that these shorts are getting is bananas.
When you post it, or you mean as a platform, YouTube
As a
gets a lot of viewable hours on Shorts.
as a platform, yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So I do think Instagram and YouTube and I think Twitter and X will benefit depending on kind of which side of the aisle you're on. For Gen Z, I think Instagram is a little played out for them. And they might switch to Snapchat or not switch to, but just reallocate those attention hours to Snapchat. But I think Instagram is almost viewed as like we view Facebook for old people,
Interesting.
for the younger Gen Z audience.
I'm dating myself a bit, but you're right. I hadn't thought about it. I just naturally assumed that that's the only other obvious platform because that's what I use. I don't use Snapchat at all.
I don't use
But
Snapchat at all.
you're probably right.
Yeah. And I'm sure this Red Note app got a few million downloads in the last 48 hours. Tens of millions of downloads, probably.
Yeah, see, I thought about Red Note. I'm like, oh, what a great place to be posting content right now. Or if they, I don't know if they have an ads platform set up, but if they do, the CPMs are probably like $1. Like it would be such an easy way to just capture as many eyeballs as you can. It's like anytime a new platform launches off, right? It's a lot easier to go viral when it first launches.
I don't think people realize that the entire application and all the settings and everything's in Chinese. So it's like,
And the app description.
how do I change my language? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Good luck. Yeah, that'll be interesting. But I think for me, I'm kind of excited for it to get banned, if it does get banned, for the very selfish reason of now there will be more hours on Instagram. And we're signing these long-term creator contracts at a current rate for what their current Instagram following is and what their views are. And now all that attention is just going to port over to this other platform. And
So, yeah.
for me, if it's on the parenting side, I want all the millennials, right? I don't care too much about the Gen Z spending time there. So anyway, yeah.
No, I mean, that's what you should be focused on for your business. And I think I'm probably in a similar spot, even although I'm even shifting more towards YouTube, because I think the content that really resonates with my audience comes from people searching it out rather than being like cold targeted.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with you. I think you'll capture a good amount of the Gen Z audience. Maybe not right now, but probably still right now. But I would assume that even in a few years, as they get a little bit older and they're focused more on making money,
Yep.
you'll probably capture a large percentage of that audience.
Yeah. Yeah. You were saying something about creators. You're coming. Oh, that was going to be one of the other things in my video is, you found all these people on TikTok. All of these people that are on TikTok that you follow that are content creators, they are actively moving stuff over. Like, people are doing this right now.
Yep.
So go and follow them on Instagram. Go follow them on YouTube. Like, take what you've done on TikTok and try to reapply your For You feed, your algo to these other platforms as best as you can.
Yeah.
And start by doing that by following the people that you follow on TikTok on other platforms.
Yeah, that's a good point. Got to port it over now. What I'm interested in what's going to happen to mass conversion rates, because at large, let's say a conversion rate on Instagram organic is like 3%. TikTok is about 1%, 1.5%.
Yeah.
So if some of this attention and traffic goes towards Instagram, what's that going to do to the entire platform's conversion rate? It's a small thing and it's relative because the views will probably increase, but I think a lot of people's core metrics are going to change.
Views would increase, which means impressions overall increase.
Which means theoretically CPMs would decrease.
Yeah. Yep. But maybe quality of conversion isn't as good, because like you have to think like that that buying power per user on TikTok versus Instagram has always been less.
Yeah, exactly. But I wonder if that's more of an age thing. So maybe it's not going to change. If we find some of the Gen Zs go more towards Snapchat, then it might not affect it that much. Anyway, it's interesting. What do you think is going to happen?
I honestly don't I thought something would have happened this week already, but I mean, it has, like, it's noon on the East Coast right now. So, I mean, they have 5 hours basically today, or tomorrow to solve a multi-billion-dollar, multinational, most influential app of the last decade deal and so it's like, who do I think does that type of shit? There's only one guy that can pull something like that off. So Elon.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say Trump.
Trump is a close second, but he can't overturn Congress.
Right.
Like, so as much as, people are like, oh, Daddy Trump's going to say, like, he can't go against the law.
He can't overturn Congress, but he can probably sway a decision.
If that's legally possible, yeah.
Wow. I mean, Elon swayed a lot of decisions that are like the market manipulation on his side is so transparently obvious
True.
that I think he can sway a decision pretty easily.
Oh, I think so too, but that still can't go against a decision of Congress.
Yeah, once a ruling is made, it's done. That's the
Yeah.
decision. Yeah.
So there's an interesting line here. So, because I've been going through and like trying to like, here's all my ideas, AI, like take all my things, and then I'm gonna try to like put a ranking of here are the top 10 things that might happen, ranked on just what people are saying, the news, everything, likelihoods
Yeah.
and everything. So my number one currently, number two is Elon. Number one is at 50% is Trump coming in and saving it. And I don't know how that physically happens if the ban has already been passed by Congress and signed into law, the president cannot stop it going into effect. He can't unilaterally revoke or nullify an existing act of Congress. So there's only two ways to do this: a court injunction, which is unlikely to happen, but we're waiting to see because there's only one day left. So that could happen. Or they pass new legislation on top. Congress passes new legislation that amends or repeals the other stuff that they did. So I think the area that you're referencing, that pressure could be put on Congress to do that so that they kind of like
To
fall
make
in.
another decision that voids the past one, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think in that scenario, Trump could provide or pressure, and Elon could pressure Congress into doing that. But I think, and this is where I'm still like, I don't know all the intricacies of this stuff. I don't think anybody does.
I think the difficulty that Elon would run into owning Twitter is that it's monopolistic. Like you can't legally own a monopoly, even though lots of them exist. Buying it might not work. I think that's why Meta can't get close to it. Google definitely can't get close to it.
So what about Microsoft?
They could, but Microsoft over the decades has already been under so much fire for monopolistic behaviors that they might not want to get close to it. And I think that's maybe why there are Canadian firms looking at it, and maybe why Kevin O'Leary met with Trump at Mar-a-Lago at the same time as talking about buying TikTok. But he can't afford it. I mean, there needs to be major funding behind it.
Who do you think could raise more money? Who do you think could raise 50 billion quicker? Kevin O'Leary or Mr. Beast?
I don't know. I don't know enough about Mr. Beast's financial history to know that. Like Kevin O'Leary's, it's all publicly traded companies, so you can just see. But Mr. Beast, all of his stuff, all of his workings are internal. Like he definitely has a larger audience, but is it people that are ready to shell out $50 billion? Maybe. Probably.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think the funny take is Mr. Beast calling up Elon and Bezos and being like, let's buy this shit together, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it could be done.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a couple episodes of his Mr. Beast games, and it's freaking impressive.
Yeah, it's bananas. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I watched 2 episodes of it.
Yeah. Like just and doing content and seeing it at that like 1,100 cameras or whatever that they had, like I've just, it's the technical side of that is also very fascinating to me, of like just managing all the lines of data and video feeds and everything. It's crazy.
Yeah, the technical side, the cost is exorbitant. Even just think about, you can't hire someone to do that. It's not like, oh, you had experience on this game show. Like, no, this is the biggest it's ever been, the craziest it's ever been.
Yeah.
Everybody is doing it brand new. Everybody's just trying it for the first time.
And somehow they pulled it off. Yeah.
On a side note, I need some help on prompting for the app.
Okay.
It's like the way it's set up, it's supposed to be functioning and it's pulling information. It's pulling the user's data to give a response, but
Okay.
the response is not accurate. So this is probably going to be way more of a like technical call. So I don't know if we want to go into it now, but I would love to use your expertise here at some point.
Okay. Well, yeah, definitely we'll do this on another call, but I think the main thing, I mean, this is most of what our agency customers are, I wouldn't say struggling with, but like once you figure it out and learn it, then it becomes a much easier process.
Yeah.
The concern that I have from what you just said, though, is that your core functionality of RAG is not implemented correctly, which
What's
is
RAG?
RAG is the acronym for Retrieval Augmented Generation, which essentially is a term, just some like marketing term that people came up with after people realized that you needed to create a database of information, a knowledge base that allows an AI agent to query that knowledge base to find information that could be relevant to an answer, to then add that to a prompt as contextual information to then be sent to the AI LLM model to generate a response using all of that contextual information and the prompt all at once. This is the core kernel of how AI chatbots work with a knowledge base. This is the thing that I made myself back in, 2+ years ago. So this is something that we've been working on for years now at this point to do this. We built completely ourselves from the ground up, but there are other software applications out there. Mainly them, I don't even want to mention them because I don't like their platform isn't that good. But LangChain or the Lang series, that's like a RAG as a service kind of, or they give you like
Got
code
it.
template to provide that functionality. But most people just rebuild it themselves because it's such core functionality of how this stuff works that it needs to be done correctly.
Yeah, makes sense. And then where's the knowledge base hosted? I'm guessing it's not OpenAI.
So you could use a bunch of different places like AWS, or we use DigitalOcean. It's basically like virtual machines and storage. So instead of running servers in your basement, you go to AWS and be like, okay, I can pay you $1,000 a month and you give me 300 gigabytes of storage and whatever. And those become your servers for where the application is running.
Got it.
And so as you get more users and more traffic and more accounts and more queries and questions, you're going to have to scale up that server. And that's going to cost more and more and more money for forever. And that's a completely separate charge than your OpenAI API costs.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's
Would Firebase be an example of a backend database? I can't remember what we used because I'm not super involved on the tech build side.
I'm not familiar with. I mean, we use GitHub, but that manages all of our tasks essentially.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, to be honest, all of this stuff, this is Tim's domain. This is like what he is an expert in, what he's been working on for the last however many years, is taking an application and scaling it based off of usage, essentially.
Got it. Okay. I think I found it. Yeah, we're using Supabase as our backend database,
Okay.
which is primarily for iOS and Android apps.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. Monthly active users. Damn, 25 a month to $5.99 a month.
A lot.
That's just an interesting jump of price. Like 0 to 25 a month, jump to $5.99 a month.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
I mean, I guess it's like get your core functionality and then it's okay, pay for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
All
okay. So
right.
yeah, this does look similar. I would already be maxed out on there. We would already be past the 16 XL because we're storing data. That's the other thing that you're gonna have to consider is as more people store more data and the conversations become longer, the
Yeah.
amount of data that you're storing is gonna cost more and more and more and more over time.
Yeah. 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 That's the other part I've thought about. There will be a plateau on an annual pricing or even a monthly pricing where your cost for data storage will continue to accumulate. If you had 100 users, eventually over time, your cost per storage would surpass what they're paying you in subscription cost. So there has to be a point where either they have to pay for usage or you just increase the cost.
Or
Haven't crossed that bridge yet.
yeah, so or you kind of work in the middle where you figure out what your averages are, and then that
Mhm.
determines what your pricing can be based off of your like what margin you want.
Right, right.
And then you know that for the average user, you're making profit, and the only person that could go in the negative way would be power users, which are always going to be the small percentage of users, which
Right.
you can always then upsell more functionality, add-ons, other things.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think there's an upgraded subscription. There's a play for a higher tier subscription for our next level of functionality, which has this whole like time tracking component for sleeps and feeding schedules.
Okay, so if you haven't already, definitely buy this book because what I'm about to say is going to come directly from this. And I'm already thinking of how to do this for my own application, which is the differentiation between a feature set on different pricing plans versus add-ons. And I'll give you an
Okay.
example. So like right now, we have 49, 197, and 497 a month. On the 497 a month plan, the full SaaS mode plan, we currently provide the functionality for you to add your own API key, which then supersedes our usage-based pricing for those people.
Mhm.
So we now have a few customers, one of which has over 500 deployed sub-account clients in their account. And we're only making $500 a month on this guy. So
Wow.
we need to be making more money because he's probably making more money than we are.
You- Sure. Yeah.
Um, so one of the things that I'm thinking about is for the next person that comes along for that, or even this person eventually, because he's already making so much money, I don't know, what's a smaller increase?
Mhm.
Um, removing the ability to use your API key from the full SaaS mode, which leaves you with unlimited sub account, like the unlimited side as still at the reasoning or features why you would want to go to that plan. But bring your own API key is something that we know is only really going to be leveraged by these high-end agencies. And if they're on average selling, I mean, if they're selling at the low end of like $100 a month, that's 50 grand a month. We could charge them an extra 2,500 a month to be able to use their own API key to then supersede the whole process.
Right.
So then we're making more money. They're still making a ton of money. And yeah, so, and I'm trying to think about trying to like adjust my plans based off of what I've been seeing and how people are using the platform to be able to make money on these people that are using it more versus the average.
Yeah. Would you consider just billing per agent or per sub account maybe?
Yes, and we do that currently on the middle tier plan where you get 20 included with your plan, and then if you want to purchase additional sub accounts, you can purchase them for $10 a month. And I think this is
Okay.
going to work longer term because what I'm thinking is we might shift full SaaS mode from unlimited to 100.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So then he would pay for an extra 400 at $10 a month. So it's an extra 4K a month.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then we could then still allow for unlimited users. So we're not charging for user seats, we're charging for sub accounts, at which point you can have as many employees as you want inside of an individual sub account.
And that seems more reasonable because the sub account is what your user is going to be billing for.
It's better for the end user. The end user doesn't
Exactly.
have to worry about, oh, I'm paying for user seats. Like the fuck? Like, no, I'm just paying the $100 a month or whatever it is, and I can invite my entire team, and it's $100 a month.
Yeah, yep, for sure. Makes more sense. And it's probably going to be better for revenue retention for you because the churn is not going to be, this got too expensive, because the margin will be fixed based on what they're charging per agent versus what you're charging.
And when we're finding that, and it's like a makes sense thing, our better customers are the ones that are on the higher tier plans.
Yeah,
because
of course.
they have like, right?
Well,
So
that's universally true for
it's universally true.
every industry.
Exactly. And it's like one of those things that you don't see it until or you don't believe it until you see it in the stats. But now, like, our churn dropped like 30% over the last 3 months. Our LTV increased by like 50%. And it's all because we're whittling through the people that are just trying to get rich quick versus the agencies that are actually providing this to their clients and selling it.
Yeah. Do you find that most of your super users are agencies selling their regular agency services, and then this is an add-on for them?
100%.
So there are no effective agencies that are just selling the chatbot. There has to be some sort of service mixture.
Yeah. That service mixture could be the white glove management of the AI chatbots.
Got it. Yeah.
So some agencies are as a SaaS where their users manage it themselves, but I'd say a greater percentage are tacking on the white glove premium on top of that, which is where money.
That's where
the custom functions and IP, that is kind of the sneaky little hidden gem right now, where people can write this third-party code that an AI agent can interact with to be able to create those AI agent functions and then sell that to a business as custom IP, because it literally is custom IP. It's third-party. It's code that you have written that interacts with 2 different systems to provide a solution to a problem.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to do now because you have to figure out how to write the code and deploy it and make everything talk together. But that's where it is right now. The whole idea is get that to a point where you just click integrate. And now it's done. And now you just work on your prompting again, and it just works.
Yeah, these are the competitive moats that you're building that a lot of the AI, a lot of the other AI models are not building it, the platforms. But if I still ran my agency, this is 100% what I would be doing, because it's what I'm sure a lot of experienced agency owners will realize. This is the service that you can sell that does not require additional time or people on fulfillment.
If you don't want to do it, no. Like, you could
relatively, there needs to be someone to set it up a little bit, but relative to the ongoing work of like a Klaviyo agency, this would just be a huge higher margin upsell.
So, and I've been thinking about this a lot. If you think of even just our track record, not even expanding it to like the 90s or whatever, but like just our business track record of the last 10, 15 years of being professionals. Websites were developed, businesses had a problem, so then agencies came in and built those. I would say it went like website agency, mobile application agency when mobile apps became a thing. Then I think it was social media marketing and advertising. Now it's AI. And there's always going to be some sort of new technology that creates an advantage for a business that the business is not going to want to learn or manage themselves. And we've now seen this as a recurring theme for the last 50 years, probably.
Yeah. And the agencies that have been in the space the longest have more of an advantage because your old website clients will come back looking for this new tech.
Because
That's where time in the game matters.
the client relationship that you have and build and foster over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I've got to stop at the 40-minute mark. I got to jump early.
Oh,
I'm on baby duty.
Oh, there we go. Some of that, dude. I sent you a couple things on Twitter recently. Some ideas.
Okay.
So basically, like anytime I see an interesting baby video, I'm sending it to you. So I'm like that could be an interesting way to, like, oh, I was throwing a slice of cheese on a baby's head.
I saw that one.
And it makes him stop crying.
Yeah, I saw that one. That's funny. There's so many baby accounts. It's crazy. As soon as you get into a niche, you realize how many creators there are. Like when I first started going into this and contacting creators, I'm like, oh my God, we have to have this person. They're the best.
Yeah.
But then you keep looking, you're like, man, they're a dime a dozen. It's crazy. I've gotten way more brutal in my negotiations and what I'm offering for pricing because I know they're a dime a dozen. They say no, I'm like, there's literally thousands of other creators like you. So
Good way to think about it, probably.
another tip from the Cal AI guys. They're like, don't pay creators too much. Like there's so many of them. Someone will take the deal.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Cool. Well, yeah, let's definitely connect later more on the AI chatbot stuff and prompting.
Yeah, I would love to. I'm gonna do some research into Supabase, and then I'm also gonna look at the documents you sent the AI prompt engineering thing, and just see how we can set this up to pull information back from Supabase. See what I can learn.
Yeah.
It's a crazy world though, man. When I'm running my agency, I have shiny object syndrome for software. Now I'm trying to run software, trying to build software. I have shiny object for agency. I'm like, man, the agency was so great. Like we had customers paying $5K a month and it was a service. I had staff fulfill it. And like, I didn't have to figure out all this tech and worry too much about churn. And like, yeah, it's a different world.
Grass is always greener, I've realized.
Yeah.
And even in the micro things, like when I shave, I want a beard. When I have a beard, I want to be shaved. Like it's just
so true.
It's human nature, and kind of just sticking with our guns and following through, I think, is where being consistent and following through is where that's the difference.
Yeah, consistency and follow up is everything.
People just quit and give up or fail and then don't try again.
True. I know a lot of people in the agency space, and I outlived all of them. And people that were doing, in the early days doing the same revenue as me, like, 10, 15K a month, like getting by. And they succumb to shiny object syndrome and try something new. And because I'm the only one that stuck it out, we had an exit. And if you didn't do that, you would never get there. So I keep trying to remind myself of that for the software version of it. The difference being here is sticking it out means spending more money with no revenue and no funding.
Yeah. And that's the resolve that you have to basically make it. And think of how consistent we've been in our communication for the last, since we've known each other. I mean, it's like 5 years now, probably.
Yeah.
How many other people can you say that about?
Can't say that about most of my friends. That's for sure.
Not many. Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
So cool. All right. Well, last thing I'll leave you with is we're talking about iOS apps now for Stammer, like building.
Are you?
Yeah, because we're going to have live chat out soon. So like, oh, wouldn't it be sick if you could respond on your mobile phone with an app? Wouldn't that
would be really cool?
That would be sick.
That would be really cool. That's also comes at a really good time. Would it be able to integrate with native apps like WhatsApp? Would you be able to hit like your Stammer icon and be like, respond?
Yeah. Well, it would already be connected to your WhatsApp, and it's just like it's the human handoff side. So like you could be responding to people as the AI.
What's interesting is your version of this will be better than Apple Intelligence. And I already know that because Apple has already replaced Siri with ChatGPT 4.0 mini.
Oh yeah.
And Their Apple Intelligence, it looks pretty bad, honestly. It's not that useful.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've seen it.
I decided to not purchase the new iPhone because I saw it was bad.
Yeah.
I can't be the only one that thought that.
No, for sure. For sure. Anyways, all right. I got to jump. Baby duty.
All right.
Baby calls.
Baby calls. All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
We'll talk later. Make sure to keep up the window too.
Yep.
So
Got it.
upload. Cool. All right. See ya.
All right, man. Talk to you later. Bye.